Thank you very much. I appreciate this, man. I appreciate it. All right, thank you very much. For people who don't understand who the heck I am a coach, fundamentally. How many of you have ever worked with a coach? It's a fancy term. Please raise your hand. Okay, most of you have not. Okay, understood. Now, people who are blocking the way, just keep in mind there's a bunch of people in the back. Please make some way. Thank you. Now, a coach's job is not, on paper, it's not very complicated. You're supposed to ask questions, plain and simple. And there's a lot of listening involved, plain and simple. Now, how many of you today currently are in leadership positions? And I mean, you can be an engineering manager, you can be a VP, you can be CTO, but do you have direct people you work with? All right, hands up. People in the back, pick, all right, leadership positions, any leadership positions. Okay, very good. So people who are working with other people, well, part of your job description is to provide feedback. Now, quite a few of you maybe are learning a thing, maybe you're freelancers, right? Maybe you get customer feedback. Now, but how do you give it? How do you give it in such a way that a person doesn't start fighting you all the way and actually starts acting on the feedback that you provide? Now, I'll level with you. There's a big, thick book here. Now, I notice some of the various folks probably read, and there's a bookshelf. So I will be giving a lot of book recommendations throughout the whole session. One is by a guy who spent 30 years studying baboons in Africa. Now, I am perfectly aware that you guys are, well, anything from quality assurance to CTOs, VPs of engineering, front-end developers, back-end developers, and so forth, and whatever you want to put in. DevOps, data scientists, right? Somebody talks about flaky tests. Somebody talks end-to-end, right? But I'm going to talk about baboons a little bit. Now, Robert is available on YouTube. I think he teaches at Stanford, if I'm not mistaken, and he teaches everything from, well, inheritance to biology. Now, some of you understand that you are animals, and this is a key component of today's talk. You have to understand that you are animals. Now, I am not talking about that, I'm not calling you apes. What I am talking about is that you have the same responses as human beings as some of the apes do. One of them is fight or flight. Now, how many of you have heard of fight or flight? Now, how many of you have experienced fight or flight? Okay? Now, some of you might experience it, some of you will not, right? In my job as a pitch coach, as somebody who helps people communicate in a short amount of time, I have to get plenty of feedback, and sometimes I'm the reason for fight or flight or freeze. Now, confessions to be made. Now, you don't need to pay attention to anything on the screen. You might have picked up that I don't have slides today. All you need to focus on is me, for now. Now, I will be showing you data, and that form you submitted will be used. But today, I want to give you a few books and a few ideas, because we simply have 40 minutes, and I want to make it practical for all of you at some point. So what does it mean, rapes? Now, it means we have these responses. So somebody gives you feedback, either in the code you've written, or the timing when you submitted or deployed it, or in the hiring decision. If you get any feedback at all, you're still apes. Now, more specifically, you're social apes. You care about what other people think of you, even if you deny it. Now, this gentleman is from MIT, Alex Pentland, social physics. I kindly recommend it. I think people from Northville might know him, if I'm not mistaken, even came to Stone, I think, once or twice. Now, Alex studied quite a few things using trackers before we had all of these little fancy watches, and he tracked patterns of interaction between human beings. And he calls it idea flow. So if you have a team of roughly, 5, 6, 7 people, and you put a bunch of trackers on them, and you see who talks more and who talks less, well, these conversational patterns might reveal quite a bit. How many of you know what I'm talking about just now? Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. All right, how many of you have been in a meeting? Okay. How many of you had a person do 80% of the talking? Some guy, lady talks in the meeting 80% of the time. Okay? That's information flow. The person that dominates the meeting. How many of you enjoy those meetings? Hands up. I don't know if the cameraman can direct attention, but there's 0 hands. Okay? Now, what's critical to understand in the social dynamic is that evolution, if we go back to Robert Sapolsky in the first book, doesn't throw stuff away. The new layers, so anything from neocortex, your prefrontal cortex, your ability to, well, analyze that code you've written, end-to-end testing, all that new stuff is still built on top of the old stuff. That means that if somebody who's more important, your boss or a key account, the grand poobah is still in the room, they will dominate the goddamn conversation. Now, that has a cost, and it has a massive cost of that information flow. Key pieces, bits of feedback are not given. You start wasting a lot more time just because one person does the talking. Translation, guys. You have to speak up, yes? Not have person talk most of the time. Now, if my experience with engineers is of any guidance, they're now known for their ability to, how should I put this? Help me out. Talk to other people. Now, it's again a generalization, and there's always exceptions. So a great part of my work is having actually human beings stand in front of other human beings and to convey what they do, who they are, why they do what they do, what maybe their ask is, in a short amount of time, anything from 1 minute to 3 minutes. In fact, one of the first times I was in the offices of Verif is when it had only 6 people, I think. It was downstairs. All right? So I meet a lot of different individuals. Finally, the third book for now is by Douglas Stone and Sheila Heen. Some of you know Difficult Conversations that they have written, right? Harvard Negotiation Project. So if you want to understand social physics, if you want to start biology, and you want to understand how to navigate those meetings and get to the decisions faster, or at the same time not to have to fight fires all the time, all this stuff matters. So read the books. I don't have enough time to explain all this, honestly. So I'm going to give you some reading. All right? In the Thanks for the Feedback book, they outline 3 different types. One is appreciation. It's about relationships. I appreciate you. So I appreciated little puzzles. I think Andre, if I'm not mistaken, did during the last talk we had, as in the Dev Club at WISE. I really appreciate how he engaged the audience with these little puzzles that I was part of. Right? I'm appreciating. I'm saying he's really good at that. Really cool, really experienced speaker. Right? It's a relationship thing, but I'm also honest about it. The second type of feedback is coaching. Right? That's what I do. Now that can be separated in, again, 2 different elements. One is when there's a particular skill, measurable skill. Maybe you're learning a slack line like I do, right? Walking on a rope. Maybe you're learning chess. Maybe you have clear data telling you what's the error rate. It's immediate feedback that you can see and act on. Another one is a relationship type of coaching. So is the team working well together? So newbie leaders have this. Now the third and final one, is probably you guys know this, is evaluations, so performance reviews. Something that tells you exactly where you stand. Your compensation might depend on that. All right, so 3 different types: appreciation, coaching, and evaluation. You're going to be getting all 3 today. And here's what's going to happen for now. Now we know that we're animals. We know that we're social animals. We know that there's an information flow in meetings or events, and normally it's not exactly evenly distributed, but it needs to be for better decisions to be done over time. And we know there's 3 different types of feedback, which are, what's the first one? Appreciation. What's the second one? And the third? Evaluation. Very good. I need you to remember that. All right? Now, I'm going to do something today. And that is, I'm going to test the previous speaker. And hopefully the speaker is here, and hopefully he's away. All right, with your consent, obviously.
Absolutely. Do I need another beer? Or?
You don't need another beer, but I would suggest to pay attention to it. So first, we're going to learn to provide basic feedback. We're going to go for basic things, which I use in my work. Right? How many of you would be able to introduce this man, and Verif employees not included, Verif employees not included. How many of you would be able to introduce this man by name to a friend of yours? Please raise your hand. Fair enough. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you for what? Thank you for the feedback. Okay, let's continue. Now, people generally tell me this, oh, Gleb, I'm not really good with names, right? It's like, I don't remember names. There's a reason for this. But who is he? How many of you would be able to, in explicit, so specific terms, explain to a friend of yours, let's say a friend, an engineer, who this man is? Specific terms, hands up. How many of you would be able to explain who this man is? Raise your hand. Specific terms. Not, oh, he works for Verev, and I think he does to do some testing. That is not specific. It's ballpark. OK. Hands up. All right. Are you seeing this, man? OK. We're testing it. All right. How many of you, now this is a tricky one, so tell me if I'm not clear. How many of you would be able to explain to a good friend of yours, right? So something tells me you're friends or something. Right? How many of you will be able to explain why this man does his job? It could be on a logical level, but beyond the money, right? How many of you would be able to explain the reason he does his job, the purpose of his job? Please raise your hand. Okay, okay, this is a little better, right? So your metrics are improving a little bit. All right. Very good, very good. All right. Final question. Now, he mentioned some of issues that Verev faces, some challenges. How many of you would be able to name one challenge that Verev has? How many of you will be able to name two? Three. OK. Now, why did I perform this test, ladies and gentlemen?
See if you pay attention.
Well, all right, you can obviously see whether somebody paid attention, but you were active. You were asking questions, right? You were a captive audience. Not that Verev is holding you captive, but you know what I mean. Why did I do this test?
To evaluate efficiency of the previous speaker?
Well, efficiency is a big term here. You know, it takes a lot of time. But yes, to evaluate, right? To provide some form of clear, actionable feedback to the previous speaker. We evaluated the speaker. Now, what does that, right, what is the range of outcomes? What is the potential outcomes if somebody does that? So you're quite charitable, you're quite honest, and I asked consent, and you were kind about it. But let's say, have you ever had a leader who would get defensive? Somebody, when receiving feedback, would not react very well. Now, it doesn't have to be a leader, it can be a coworker. How many of you ever had a coworker that would not react well when provided with feedback of this type? Okay. Are you guys starting to get the idea what this talk is about?
No.
But thank you. Okay. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your honesty. All right. I used a very specific context here. Somebody does a talk. We looked at three basic things: who you are, what you do, why you do it. How many people retained it? How many didn't? What did they retain? Now put this in your own context. Are you doing a summary, let's say a stand-up, what you're working on right now? I think they also have these three questions they ask, slightly different ones. An all-hands meeting, a growth marketing event, let's say a hiring event. You're essentially sponsoring this because you need engineers, most likely, or any different QA testers. What will they remember about the company? Now, you can put this in different contexts. How many of you have done freelancing work? Customers, freelancers, hands up. Freelancers, okay? Has your customer giving you feedback? All right? Listen, guys, so I collected quite a bit of data for you. Let me put this into context. We had 122 responses. Many of you submitted this today. Let's see. What did it show me? Well, it showed me, surprise, surprise, you work in IT. It showed me, computer software, it showed me quite a bit of finance too. But it also showed me something very, very interesting. And I will be sharing this with you today. Yeah, quite a few, right? We have an almost, well, a 50-50 split in terms of who's in a leadership position and somebody who maybe is maybe a junior, a specialist, all that type of stuff. So CTOs, VPs of engineering, obvious leaders, managers. Most individuals here are somewhere in the middle track. They're, put it like this, they kind of agree they will be comfortable with public speaking. But something tells me if I would invite you here, that situation might change very quickly. All right? Which I'm going to be doing. How likely are you to basically give feedback to others? Most of you, look at that. You're very likely to provide feedback to others. People who filled in the form, great. People like giving feedback, positive feedback. It's easy. There's no cost. You just said something nice. Your flaky test talk was great. But now the situation starts getting a little more tricky. It's still relatively high. I'll expect much lower. I'll expect much lower numbers when it comes down to providing challenging feedback. Let's say if I would start criticizing your talk, or the same way you would criticize my talk. So it's still pretty high, but it's lower than the positive one. So no surprises there. Now they're asking, but you're all saying you're asking. A lot of you are willing. All right? Somewhere in the middle, positive. And look at this. And then suddenly it starts shifting. Suddenly you guys starting saying that I want challenging feedback. I prefer receiving challenging feedback. So let me compare that once again. We have like almost a normal distribution a little bit for the positive, and suddenly starts getting skewed to the right. All right, fair enough. You guys are a bunch that wants to get challenging feedback. That's the immediate naive assumption I'm making. But wait a minute. Let's start asking which type of feedback had an effect on your long-term performance. It can be anything from coding to your career. Look at that. Right? You guys are saying challenging feedback is important. But what's the kind of feedback that you actually receive? So wait a minute. You told me, or at least a large chunk of you told me and more, that you are very likely or moderately likely to give challenging feedback. You believe that challenging feedback is more effective for long-term performance. And most of you receive positive feedback. Am I missing something?
No, it's okay.
Okay. What do you guys see?
Somebody lies.
Excuse me?
Somebody lies.
Somebody lies. Now, to be fair, it's a simplistic form, right? I needed to complete it. I needed 3 minutes, right? Obviously, I would like to make it more granular, maybe provide you with the scales. But now this is a feedback paradox. It has a name. So going back to APES and Robert Sapolsky, here's a tool that I, as a coach, have to keep in mind. People who work with users or usability testing of any kind. Let's say I have a user. And I want to understand this user. There's many frameworks, right? You don't have to go to the Estonian Art Academy and do all these studies. There's something what the user tells you. I want a bigger button. I want more challenging feedback. They might even think that. They might even think that they want it. But what do they actually do? And what do they actually feel? Now this is a tool. How many of you know this tool? I've heard of this type of tool. Not too complicated, is it? It's called empathy mapping. Think of it as a mental model, how people think. And that's a part of my job as a coach, is to help shape your mental models. Now, the data I collected is a convenient way to highlight a discrepancy. We get it. Most of you receive positive feedback, and you claim that you would receive, well, provide challenging feedback and you want it. So what are we going to do? I need volunteers. I don't know how much time I have. Let's see. I have timed myself for 20 minutes. I want to dedicate these 20 minutes to as many of you as I can to make it real. Now, it's easy to pick on a more experienced speaker in a leadership position, but let's start getting everybody else. I need maybe 3 of you for now. One by one, a person comes here. Think of it as a stand-up. And you tell me who you are, what you do, and why. That's it. Nothing else. You tell me who you are, you tell me what you do, and why. You're going to stand in front of this tribe and communicate this in a very short amount of time. Maximum 3 minutes.
Can I do this?
You absolutely can. Hand of applause for Victor. Please, Victor, join us on stage. I'm going to give you my microphone and take another one. You will have roughly 3 minutes, and the structure is very basic. And all of you, you're going to be giving feedback. Who you are, what you do, and why you do it. You can improvise, you can change things, you will give in 3 minutes. But your job is to make sure that people retain what you said.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
I'll give you the mic. All right?
By the way, should I use all 3 minutes?
You don't have to. It is a basic framework, guys. You can do whatever hell you want. I will not be offended, right? But it's up to you.
Okay.
Stage is yours. Uno, dos, tres. Let's do it.
Okay. Hello, my name is Victor, and I'm a project director in VoiceOver. So I'm a former engineer, and most of my life I spent as an engineer. But at some point of my career, I wanted to understand things better.
Louder, please.
Louder, okay. Now it's better? Okay, cool. So at one point I converted to salesperson and then to product domain. So now I understand and I want to understand better how exactly things works in terms of user behavior, product specific terms, and so on. So that's my way, okay. And why I'm doing this? Because I cannot do it another way. I just I want to make things better in in any meaning of this. So it has impact in my life in all the aspects of it. It's about my career, it's about my kids, and it's about myself, because myself, like I perceive myself as a product as well. So all my life is product. So I make myself better as a product. So every day my personal product is a little bit better than before. That's why I'm here. And I'm learning a lot from this meetup, and I think that's all.
All right, thank you very much. And an applause for the comment. 90 seconds, roughly 90 seconds. Now I'm going to, sorry?
Half of this, I mean.
Half, that's fine, right? Now I am not going to tell him what I think yet. Instead, you saw a test I performed.
Yeah.
Do you recall this test?
You mean the questions or what?
The questions themselves. Would you like to conduct this test on what you just said, the 90 seconds of content, but on your own without me?
Of course.
If you need guidance, I'm here, I'm happy to provide it, but see what the audience basically got out of this.
So 3 questions, guys. First, who am I? Raise your hand. Victor, okay. I'm Victor. But who am I? I mean, what I'm doing.
How would you get more input from a large group of people? Right? When you ask an open-ended question like this, you'll have maybe 5 people give you a shot at the same time, and it gets pretty messy.
Yeah, so I should ask like binary questions like yes or no, right? And make raise a hand or like...
Help him out, coach him a little bit. What can you do?
You can ask him some questions and like asking for the raising their hands.
Oh,
yeah.
Take from the audience, coaching from the audience. Thank you for the feedback,
Okay,
sir.
so the question will be, who remember, who am I? I mean my role, I mean my career.
I suggest please raise your hand.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think maybe not more than 10%.
All right.
Okay, cool.
All right, that's immediate feedback.
So what was
What was the second point?
second question is what I'm doing. Please, guys, raise a hand who remember what I'm doing. Not so much as I expected, actually.
Oh my, we had an initial hypothesis and we have an immediate feedback loop. What was the final question?
Yeah, and why I'm doing this? Please raise a hand who remembers this. A little bit better.
A little bit better.
Yeah, but exactly not the same as I expected.
Understood. Now let's do something else now. I'm going to show you an example, as promised. Dude, so how long have you been doing your work?
I think more than 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
And can you break that down for me a little bit in a few examples? What is this work fundamentally?
Mm-hmm.
Are you an engineer, yes or no?
No, I think no.
What are you then?
I'm a manager.
What kind of manager?
Like the general management in all terms of this. People management, product management.
Which company are you currently employed with?
Voiso. It's called Voiso.
Voiso.
Yeah.
How large is Voiso?
Maybe 100 people.
100 people. What is Voiso? What is it about? What kind of company is it? Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to get a little tedious because I'm getting less interactive, but please bear with me. It might take us 3-5 minutes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Please pay attention to the process. I do this quite a bit.
So yeah.
Voiso, 100 people. What is the goddamn meaning of this company, right? The raison d'etre. What do you guys, the 100 people doing there?
Yeah, we are doing the contact center platform for small and medium business.
Contact center platform. All right, let me ask you slightly differently. What happens to the world if your company goes bust tomorrow?
I think nothing.
This man is super honest. Let's give him a pass, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of competitors, unfortunately. Maybe fortunately, actually.
You're the leader of this company.
Product leader.
You're a product leader. How many people are direct reports?
7.
7. Now, let's say if half the team leaves right now and you need replacements, and some of these new replacements are in this room, what are you going to tell them?
I'm not ready for this question actually, but
That's fine. Guys, you can always tell me no. It's absolutely fine.
Let me think about it.
Sure, absolutely fine.
So
Right?
I would say, like, I will tell you a little bit about the culture in the company because we are extremely open, and it's kind of startup, but we found our product market fit, so we have money, and we have absolutely unique culture inside. So that will be the first thing. Another thing that, like, we have a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely.
You're talking a lot about the culture, but how exactly your company changing the world? What you actually giving to the world? Because there is a lot of probably.
That's a good question. That's a good question. So I had a colleague. He said like he quit the job and he said like, Victor, contact center is not the product which you want to like. You don't want to have more contact centers in the world, right? So it's not so challenging as you can think. But again, it's just in an industry, and I don't have a beautiful answer for this question. But I will think about it. Good.
All right, how can we improve this talk now? So 15 years in the business, you've been a general manager most of your life. Did I understand this correctly?
No, I think I'm a general manager like 3 years.
3 years. And what was your main job for the past 15 years?
Before this?
Yeah.
I was an engineer, I was sales manager, I was a pre-sales manager, and I was product manager.
Sales manager, engineer, and now you're a GM.
Yeah.
How many companies have you been employed with for the past 15 years?
I think not more than 4.
4 companies.
If you include all my startups, it will be like 10.
How many times have you failed with the startups?
6.
6, right? And the company name?
Should I?
What's the company name currently?
Voiso, you mean the current one?
Voiso.
Voiso.
Call
right.
center solution?
Yeah, voiso.com.
How many people? How many companies use it?
I think right now we have 600 customers all around the world.
All right. How many countries, more or less?
I don't have the quick answer. Maybe.
Fair enough. Voiso, how old? Voiso?
How old is this?
Yeah.
3 years.
3 years. Voiso. 600 customers.
Yeah.
100 people.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Victor. I'm the general manager of Voiso. Voiso is a company with 3 years in operations. Over the 3 years, we've been able to provide call center solutions to almost 600 customers. That's not my first company. I worked and managed in 4, and I attempted to build 10 startups. Most of them failed. Now we have 100 people, and as a product manager, right now I have a team of 7, and I run this team like I did some of my startups. Same culture, but at the same time having the stability of a large institution. Anyway, how's this version so far?
Much better than mine, I think.
Right. Now this was an example. Could you do something, final take, add a little bit more detail, add a few numerical bits of information, and please convey that this is a company you're employed with, you're leading people in it, and you want to invite some of the people here. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I think yes.
Same basic structure, who you are, what you do, why you do it, but let's add some meat to it, because we already received feedback that saying we have a unique culture is a little enigmatic.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. One more take. Take as much time as you need before the next presenter. Next presenter is getting ready, okay?
Okay, guys. So, I'm Victor. I'm a product director in Voice. We are making the contact center solution, and I have more than 15 years experience in telecom. And in Voiso, I manage the beautiful and extremely, good team of 7 people who are doing extremely, exciting product. And I lost my thought.
That's fine, absolutely fine. How is he doing this time around? Ladies and gentlemen, what's the general feedback? Let's do broad a little bit. How's this version compared to his first version?
More positive.
I think I
Concise?
More concise.
More concise, what else? Positive, detailed, and? More articulation. He's actually enunciating words. What else? A little more confident. He had time to practice, get used to the stage. Anything else? Easy to follow. You actually started following what he's saying. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the feedback. Thank you for volunteering. Victor, you can do better with repetition. All right. Thank you very much. Let's check the time. We have roughly 7 minutes. I would like to give at least 2 more presenters. Whoa, Mr. Rocket right here. Please, send an applause for this man. Let's do it. Let's do it. Now, if you're not clear, why am I doing this, ladies and gentlemen? All right, that's fine. I'm taking something very, very specific right in front of you. And I'm using this as an outlet to provide and give feedback and to see immediate results to some extent. But the issue is, this is much harder for most people. No matter what you claim in the form, this is a classic, that ape response. You're in front of a lot of people. It's like a tribal thing. Now, most people find that to be threat of exclusion. But if you're able to tackle this, if you're able to actually receive feedback here and improve, you're more likely not to get defensive in those meetings. Now notice when I am initially giving the microphone to you and I'm asking, hey, listen to the group, right? Try to do it yourself. I'm not immediately telling him what to do. I'm asking him to basically catch his own fish. And that's what a coach's job is. Now to be fair, if I just keep going and asking questions from people, they'll be pretty annoying. Right? So I do have to give some answers. And that's the balancing act you guys have to have if you're running teams. So let's do this, man. You have roughly 3 minutes. In these 3 minutes, you can start who you are, what you do, why you do it, that's fine. Or you can do your own structure.
Okay, so in the remaining 178 seconds, we will talk about my most remarkable parts of my life in LinkedIn or a bit Instagram. And it's a quite long period actually, because Manchester United in 1999 had scored 2 goals to reach the cup less than 90 seconds actually. So, at first, let me give you a secret. Who am I not actually? I'm not a software developer actually. Nobody can force me to write 8 hours a day code. That's why I'm here as a wannabe. Like that's why I want to explore that environment and the world. Actually, I ended up Estonia in age 28 after 4 years of film industry experience and 4 more years in a mass media. In one word, who am I? I'm a storyteller in different purposes actually. Like work, even I wrote, I shot video, I edited. Actually, for now, in Estonia, I'm working as now as a writer again in a company which is based a bit CRM and a life cycle actually. That's why it really affected my even social media or entering to the websites, because we know that even if we've been tracking if you enter to a product and on 3 days if you don't buy anything, etc., like there's another text goes to you. Like I'm responsible for the text part actually. The companies in Ülemiste.
My apologies that I'm intervening and interrupting. I did not mean to interrupt too much. Having said this, it would be most likely a fair assumption, ladies and gentlemen, that he is presenting you with a lot of information, a lot of different keywords. How many of you would be able to explain to a friend who he is? Please raise your hand.
He is not a developer.
All right, let me put it like this. Who he is and who, all right, not who is not, but who he is.
Not exactly.
Alien, account manager, storyteller, writer. Okay. My kind recommendation, my editorial suggestion, what is the Pareto? What is the main thing you do that, you know?
In one word, yeah, I can define myself as a storyteller maybe.
In which context?
Actually, it's reaching the people or giving the message.
Are you a
Message.
freelancer?
Also, yeah.
You're a freelancer.
I was also, yeah.
What
Not
are you
now.
currently doing?
I'm currently working as a position, it's written in my contract as a copywriter, content writer.
There we go. So he's a copywriter, content writer. For which company?
The name of the company is Noble Minds, it's in Ülemiste.
Noble Minds?
Yes.
Could you please slowly enunciate that?
Nabumi.
And one full name now?
Noble Minds.
What does Noble Minds do?
Noble Minds doing actually a CRM and like life cycle management
For whom?
solutions. Depends to the customers, like not only to one or two.
Keep in mind, what will they remember, right? Customer relationship management system, business intelligence,
Right.
for whom, right? Can you give us an example?
We've been doing like, how can I say, we've been doing like brand management even, or reporting, like we've been doing in one word, we've been doing outsourcing service.
Okay, what's the challenge here that we're seeing? Dear audience, what's the challenge?
All over the place.
It's all over the place, but what else? Keep it dumb. Who's speaking? Please. Yes.
It's vague, ambiguous.
Vague and ambiguous. What is that likely to result in, dear audience? Confusion. Dear copywriter, specific. Give me examples, please. One example.
All right, a bit marketing text which aims to inform people. Maybe.
Name a name of a customer that your company has.
I can't.
You can't.
Confidential.
Okay.
Can we say like company like an Uber or kind of?
Kinda, sure, yeah. In Estonia, people really like to, you know, just write bottom of the website, Coca-Cola, Apple, Facebook, like
Okay. Do you write copy for this company or others?
others.
Others. Okay. So it's an agency or like you. So
We are an agency. We can consider it as a kind of ad agency, but not directly.
with a CRM component.
Yes, yes. For the other part of yes, because it's not. We are not on. Our department is doing that. We even also have some other services.
Okay, Medic, how can you make it so specific that we can remember you? Because currently you're vague and over the place based on the feedback from the audience. How can we name one concrete example so we can really put a finger on what the heck does this copywriter do and for who?
All right. For example, there's an e-sport tournament there.
Yep.
So
Where?
I become I feel myself as a teenager. Hey, let's go for the League of Legends. Time is coming up for join for the tournament. Like
So you're writing copy for a League of Legends esports tournament?
as an example, I gave you asked me for a specific example.
And
so
is that a common theme? Do you write a lot of esports tournament copy?
Depends. Yeah, it depends. Like if you even come to write us if you have a gastronomy website.
Okay.
We'll take
So your name is, once again?
milk.
Milk. Medic.
Not
Medic.
milk.
Medic. And you're a copywriter. How long have you been a copywriter for?
Actually, I didn't all my life. I did even like 10 years long, I can say. But I didn't only do this. I
Okay,
did some other
we'll keep it simple so we can have time for another one. All right, Medic. I'm numismatic. I spent 10 years telling stories. 10 years telling stories. And right now, my job is to write copy. So I'm a copywriter. I produce content. To give you an example, it can be an esports tournament. So League of Legends, massive multiplier games, and my job is to write copy that would get brands or attendees to come and engage with this. The name of the company is
Noble Minds.
Noble Minds. We're based in Ilmestad city, and we're a company of how many people?
50 or 60 people.
50 to 60 people. Now, we are a bit like an agency, but at the same time, we're tech-enabled. So we have business intelligence tools and a customer relationship management system. So if you guys have consumer brands, esports brands, anything from kitchen appliances, and they need to manage their accounts, clients, customers, and write copy and get the message out, talk to us, because we are what? Name company, name the company.
Just recall shortly Noble.
Nabo, hand of applause for this man. All right, Nabo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what are we learning today? In terms of comms and being concise and specific, what are we learning today?
You need to be very honest with yourself.
What does that mean? Being honest with yourself. What is this, gentlemen, what are you saying?
It means what you need to clearly understand who you are, what you are doing, and not be ashamed of it.
All right, well, in no way we're implying any of the people here are ashamed of it, all right? Listen, guys, so ultimate question in storytelling, if you may, or comms, is who you are. Another one is, well, why? Causality, right? Something led to something else. Now, my humble experience of 10 years of working with a lot of the IT firms here, I meet, and this is the final note so we can contextualize and put a ribbon on it, because you've been a lovely, engaged audience. I meet people who run projects. Sometimes I ask them, listen, you're a project manager, what do you do? You know what the answer they give me?
Manage projects.
I manage projects. Okay, then I start digging. It's like, listen, okay, cool. What does that really mean? Can you give me an example? Well, we have this recycling plant for tires, and my job in the company is to get the management to sign off and finance it. And it's like, and I'm listening and I'm listening and I'm actively listening as a coach. And I'm trying to understand. Yes, please, sir.
Can you name a few of your customers?
Some of these customers, yes.
Okay, let's hear.
All right, so not this one specifically, man.
Okay.
Not this one specifically, because otherwise I'm giving an example. But you have to understand I'm going for thousands and thousands of companies. So local IT firms, how many of you have seen me at an event or your company? Right? Please raise your hand. Right? Several people here. Right? Some of these could be Helmus. Some of this can be Nortel. Sometimes I meet a person from Cybernetica, just to contextualize this. Sometimes I work in the Middle East, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, right? A lot of the startups that you might hear pitching for 3 minutes, that's, how should I put this? If you hear a shitty pitch, that's me. If you hear a good pitch, maybe that's me. If you hear an excellent pitch, maybe. Right? I train a lot of people, man. So long list of customers, man. A tremendous long list of customers. But if you ask me who am I proud of, well, one of them is in this room. Werk. Right? So the CTO of Werk is right here, Marcos. Please talk to him. He's a lovely individual, and what I'm really proud of that, so appreciation feedback, is that they have integrated the feedback culture to some extent, right? So it's not just comms, but they're trying to keep track, manage your teams, talk to each other, be radically candid, be honest, and even in your fundraising channel. So I'm really proud of them, man. So that's what one specific example in this room, talk to him, okay? But going back to all of this, to be able to decide that you do your job not because you're getting a paycheck or somebody told you to do this job, you have to make, it's like freedom to be responsible. It's like you make your own goddamn path. I'm not doing this because somebody else told me to, not because I have to have a mortgage to pay and I have like 5 kids. You do the thing because it matters, because you make a goddamn choice. Agency, psychological agency. Otherwise, you're like a stick in a river. So storytelling, being clear, and being able to take feedback without getting defensive requires you to understand that fundamental thing. It's not about your ego. It's like, yeah, it's about you, but it's not about you. It's the ability to, I'm doing this because of this. There's something bigger than me, be that a Verif, be that a Nortel, be that a Helmus, be that Cybernetica. Something is more important than me. It can be my team of 7 people, right? Or it can be the thing the company stands for, and not in a cynical way. That's the why. Are you able to clearly understand what you do? Are you able to tell me examples, clarity? Have you put the mental effort to put it together? So who you are, what you do, why you do it. None of this is enough to make you great. Social physics, information flow. Robert Sapolsky has great lectures online. I highly recommend it to understand other human beings if you want to lead them. Now Netflix has been on a rough patch lately. Culture of feedback, no rules, rules. And finally, would you like to guess the book? What's the book? Thank you for the feedback. The art and science of receiving feedback well. Now, public speaking today was just an example. My name is Gleb. Some of you know me. People who don't, add me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Happy to connect or just hang out. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you for submitting the forms. Next time somebody does something that you see could be improved, give them corrective feedback. Pretty please with cherry on top. Speak up. Thank you very much. We're done.